starting to think with this new update that naming it Dark Fangs isn't really relevant anymore. Too bad you can't change that when you don't want to be a basic dice roll anymore. I really wanted to go over the builds since the Metri update. The best build, of course, is going to depend on how you want to play. Do you want to avoid other players? Do you want to engage other players? It's really going to kind of depend. Remembering, of course, that, Metri is still a mid-tier dino, and taking on Dast, Allos, Sukos, and Kentros are going to be pretty challenging. It's also going to be good to remember that anything that does bleed is going to knock your heal right off, like Kentros. But also little raptors that have their bites equipped that do bleed, and etc. And also, currently, Metri does have a combat weight of 3,100, which is up from 2,600, but a max health of 500, which is actually down from 550. And we'll just kind of look over some of the builds that I think work. First off, we're going to look at the speed Metri. And so the subspecies when it comes to Metri has stayed the same. So as you can see, it's plus speed minus defense, and we'll go take a look at that in just a second. Okay, so when it comes to the Metri's abilities, we do have our bite. Senses, whenever you're doing that, if you're solo play, you'd want Lone Hunter. But if you're doing a group of any kind, you might as well put on Twilight Menace, because then at least that way you're going to get some kind of buff. For front limb, you're going to really want your claw attack because it's the one that does the highest damage. I don't really know why you would trade that for the front limb to increase the turn radius, but unless you don't really plan on fighting at all and you're good with just your bite, which I would not recommend, but honestly, no matter what, I would stick with this claw attack because this is your best one. You can really go with Putrid Scales. They do take poison damage. As far as I've been able to test it, it seems to just stack a few seconds on there. I want to say something along like 5 seconds, but I'll have to test that a little bit more to be 100% accurate on that. So that's an option, but if you wanted to run a full speed Metri, just get away, not even have to worry, maybe a little bit of fighting for the things that can catch you. So let's actually do a little bit of a test first. Without any buffs or hide on, we can, and you can see on a speed build we have our 5% bonus. So right there, I'm just getting all the attributes for later to compare. So now that we have that, just kind of our base 5%, we saw that. Let's go ahead and put on a speed hide. Now we can get that same attribute again. Let's fix the weather. But you can see that movement is 1.155, which basically you can round that up to 1.16. So 16% increase right there. There we go. Weather fixed. I don't want to talk over the rain. I want to get stats. So now the one thing I have to actually test out, and I'm going to be as surprised as everybody else, is because Hustle, if you look at it, Hustle says it increases your trotting speed. Increases your group's trotting speed, not your sprinting speed. Trotting. So let's check that out real quick. So that doesn't change our property movement speed multiplier. Yep, and there you go. It looks like it really does just enhance the trotting speed. This is your sprinting speed multiplier. This is your trotting speed multiplier. And I did that earlier, so I should be able to look and see what it was before we hit that. Yeah, and you can see previously our trotting speed multiplier was at 1. So it doesn't even affect your sprinting speed. It affects your trotting speed, which, who cares? I mean, just in my opinion, so what is that? This is your walking, this is your trotting speed, and this is your sprinting speed. So it makes you go faster when you want to mosey. And it might be good if you, I don't know. If you can think of a good reason why that would be useful, just let me know. Now, on official servers, I will admit that I run a speed Metri, but I am considering changing that. Well, I'll get into it later. But it's not a bad build. Most of the things that can catch you, you can fend off pretty easy, like this alligator. As long as it's just one, maybe 2 allios. For that, I do have Lone Hunter. For the senses, I do the Primal Men and Intimidating Screech. I keep my tail attack just cuz, claw and of course bite. I also run with my putrid scales just cuz. It's a good build, but you're pretty fragile. You have to kind of remember that. So no tanking aloes and wondering why you lost. I think balanced Metri is a really good option now, especially with the healing, because you're a little less fragile, and I think that really does help out, especially if you decide to run putrid scales instead of the speed hide, which, why not? It's there. But other than that, I mean, it's balanced Metri. You can lean more towards the speed, you can lean more towards the putrid scales. If you're running solo, it's the exact same. This is pretty much the exact same build that I would have with the speed Metri as well. You're just a little sturdier, and especially with that mending call, it's not a bad option. Defense Metri feels so slow to me, but at the same time, it's actually one that I'm considering. Since it doesn't need to drain stamina, which made the speed more viable, because then you could kind of outdistance your opponent, and once they were out of, stam, they were pretty easy pickings, and I used to do that fairly often with like a lot of the Ceratos especially. They were a favorite target of my Metri. But of course now, having a healing call, I feel that having this defense is pretty helpful. I have my balanced tail right now, putrid scales on, and you can see, let's go to like a sandier place. So at least when it comes to like raptors and stuff, you can still get them off you pretty easily. You can still nip at them, just like with the Cerato. So you can still reach around and nibble them. Oh my gosh, why are you... Didn't want to go this way. Alright. One thing I don't like is how much it feels like the stamina takes to fill back up. This is one of those examples where it feels like your claw attack's a little short, though maybe it's an occasional ping issue, I will admit. But I have noticed that it happens often enough that your bite will reach when your claw won't. I just wanted to share that thought. I leave this guy alone, though. He's just standing there. I did find the defense Metri to be a pretty good all-around kind of dino. I went with the turn radius tail and the speed hide. It really gave me the ability to get in and out. I've really only tested it out on community servers, so I know with like the Tenanto, they're very speedy. I was able to keep up. As far as I can tell, so far the Tenanto speed falls somewhere between a Packy and a Sty. I don't have exact numbers, I'm sorry. But even as a defense Metri, we're not only able to keep up, we were able to catch up. Though that Edmontosaurus helped us out a little. The only issue I can really see with the speed hide is your turning speed is decreased. So if you're trying to avoid things like a charge, it's a little harder to turn quick enough to avoid it. I'm not feeling that there's really a wrong build like there was with the poison venom Metri. Because playing a defense Metri then was like playing on hard mode. Unnecessarily. Whereas here, I'm really feeling that either end of the spectrum is a good play based on your preference. Would you rather be able to get away? Then that would be the option you go with. Maybe a little hit and run, then go speed. With or without putrid scales, it seems to work. With or without the tail, seems to work. But if you want to be in the fray a little bit, I'm finding defense Metri with the speed hide to be an absolute win. Also with or without the tail. Yeah, so you can see with that armor on, you're pretty much at a standard speed Metri. So you're going as fast as a speed Metri, which is awesome. Yeah, this is the Metri that I think I'm going to run. I'll hopefully let you know how it goes. We'll see if I change my mind. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed. I hope it helped you out a little bit. It was a little rambling. I'm sorry. It's more rambling than usual, but I was filming and in the middle of figuring out the new Metri myself. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.